Hey everyone, I'm with Hayley from the Business Journal, and today we're going to talk about startup resources. So Hayley, tell us what you do at the Business Journal, and more importantly, how did you get into that?
Well, I cover anything technology related that's Phoenix-based.
Okay.
So that means the big tech companies like GoDaddy, Axon, which used to be called Taser, the semiconductor companies, the data centers, and then on down to the startup scene. So that involves a lot of the software companies and all of the co-working spaces. And so anything that's tech related is what I cover at the Phoenix Business Journal.
Okay. So tell us a little bit about the tech scene from your opinion then.
So I write at least 2 stories a day.
Wow.
We have a really small staff, so we put out a lot of content. And so there is a lot going on. Lately, I've been writing about a lot of mergers and acquisitions, a lot of funding news. There's a lot going on. There's a lot of companies moving here, either moving their headquarters here or opening second offices here, because as we know, Phoenix has a relatively inexpensive living.
Right, cost of living.
Cost of living, because a lot of these companies are moving from Silicon Valley. They're moving from
pretty much anywhere
New
California
York.
is going to be more expensive.
I mean, most places are, and obviously our weather, people say you don't have to shovel
I never shovel sunlight.
So we get a lot of people from the East Coast who are just tired of the crazy storms, as of course we have crazy storms coming up right now. So, there's a lot of companies moving here, and we have a lot of land too.
It's true.
So the latest is, I just wrote yesterday, there's a autonomous semi-truck company called Too Simple.
Too Simple.
Too Simple, T-U Simple, one word. And they are expanding in Tucson and hiring 500 jobs. Last week, we just announced that Microsoft acquired a big piece of land in, I think it's Coolidge.
Okay.
So obviously we have, a lot of open land and a lot of companies that are looking to move here.
Very cool.
Yeah.
So what does a typical day look like to you?
I don't have a typical day. I can come in thinking, okay, I'm going to write these stories, and then I look at my emails and I see some late breaking news or something going on. And so you really have to be very flexible in my job. We have a daily meeting at 10 o'clock where we all pitch our stories and kind of announce what we're going to be writing, what we think we're going to be writing, which often changes. And I just interview either by phone or in person and write stories.
So what surprised you the most about the Phoenix startup scene and the entrepreneurs that you've interviewed?
Well, I have been covering technology and the startup scene for almost 6 years now. So it's definitely changed. I'm seeing a lot more activity. We have tons of co-working spaces that are opening almost every week. I'm writing about them. Big companies moving here, either downtown or in different parts of the valley. So I just see like renewed activity. I see higher fundraising amounts. I see bigger job announcements. So it's just, very fast and furious.
Okay.
Which is, definitely
it's exciting.
We like,
right?
Yeah, because obviously we want to write good news and we want to write things that people want to read.
What makes a good interview for you?
To me, a good interview is just a normal conversation.
Okay.
You shouldn't feel like, you're just like, okay, what's the next question? I want someone to say just, oh, that was easy. Because obviously a lot of people are, we have a stigma that we're always out to try to get people. We have obviously our president who constantly says fake news every day and that we're the enemy of the people. So there's some people who are very wary of talking to the media.
Sure.
So I have to make them comfortable. I have to obviously convince them that I'm trying to tell their story.
Right.
And so that is difficult sometimes, either by phone or in person. And I like to do in-person interviews because it's just a little bit better.
There's something about this, right? Yeah.
And so that's probably the hardest thing, is getting people to talk to you and getting people to trust you and getting people to trust that you will correctly quote them and that you will, tell their story.
Yeah.
And not misconstrue what it is.
Sure.
So that's a constant struggle.
So what makes you uncomfortable as a reporter?
Well, I have to deal with a lot of PR people. And so it's difficult if I want to talk to a company. Sometimes, I like to say we have a love-hate relationship with PR people, public relations, because we have to deal with them, but they also want to kind of spin the story and they want the story to run a certain way. And that might not be what the story that we're looking at or the story that my editor is interested in, because obviously they're trying to spin it a positive way.
For whatever business they're supporting, right?
Yeah. And so a trend now is they want to get all of your questions beforehand. And, which I understand, the type, but then they want to answer all the questions and then just send you the questions by email. I'm like, no, I want an interview.
Right.
I just don't want to write the story from a press release and from questions that you answer. So we get these manufactured quotes that no normal person would say.
Right.
And I'm like, I just want to talk to somebody. I want to get real quotes, that they spent an hour on, one quote that
What'll SEO
it's
great?
Like a robot says,
Yeah.
And so I think that's the problem that we deal with a lot is sometimes just getting on the phone with some of these CEOs and just talking to people and and not just the spin that they want us to relay from their press release.
The manufactured
which
version.
they understand is the news. But, just today I did a story on a company that was acquired. And he said, I said, can I talk to the CEO? Well, he's not going to be able to say that much more that's in the press release. Well, I ended up talking to him for 20 minutes, and he told me a lot of stuff that wasn't in the press release because I want to know, how is he approached by this company? What does this mean? Because is he even staying with the company, which he's not? Where is he going?
Probably not in the press release.
Yeah, none of this was in the press release, but this is stuff that I'm interested in, hopefully stuff that you're interested in as a reader.
Yep.
How many employees do they have? Are they keeping all the employees in the new company? What's the new name of the company going to be? None of this stuff is in the press release, but this is stuff that you get, through an interview that not some manufactured press release. And that's something that my editors, we didn't go to journalism school just to write stories from press releases. Right. I tell people, a press release is great, but we really want the story before it goes to the press release.
Right.
We want to know an exclusive story. If you have a story, just give me a call. You don't have to give me a press release. Just say, hey, this is going on. I'm like, great, that's a great story. So then we set up an interview. People are like, well, what do I do? I'm like, you can call me. It's not very difficult. You don't have to have some PR company call me. I want to talk to the CEO of the company. Typically, we want to, go high. So we're really interested in big news, obviously new companies moving here, big hiring news. You're expanding into a new office.
Okay.
You're hiring a new CEO. Something really big and unique and different.
Yeah.
We want people to click on our stories, and it's not just me that you have to entice. I have to entice 3 editors. And I have to entice our readers to click on the story.
A whole body of readers, right?
And so if I write something that nobody reads, then my editors are like, I don't want you to cover that anymore. Unfortunately, it's all about who clicks on your story.
Yep.
And, who subscribes to your paper, how many new subscriptions you get. And, that's how we get paid, subscriptions and advertising.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah.
What does an entrepreneur look like to you?
An entrepreneur is just someone who starts a company.
Just that plain and simple.
Mm-hmm.
I like it.
Yep.
Okay.
And I talk to obviously startups.
Yep.
But then I talk to CEOs of big companies who at once were entrepreneurs.
Right.
But their company has gotten really big. So I think an entrepreneur to me is just anyone who starts a company.
Okay. If you were going to make a startup, what are the top resources you would leverage and why?
Let's see. So luckily we have a lot of local resources. We have the Arizona Commerce Authority who has they have a lot of resources. I'm writing today about their Arizona Innovation Challenge, which is a biannual competition where they give away $3 million.
Which is a lot of money.
Yes. Better Business Bureau is a good resource.
Okay.
The Arizona Small Business Association is a good resource. We have tons of co-working spaces that if you're a 1 or 2 person company and you feel like you're isolated, I suggest seeking out one of these co-working spaces, renting a desk, and just hanging out and networking and seeing. And most of these co-working spaces also have mentoring, and they have events and different opportunities to help startups.
And a whole community around them, right?
And we have so many, from Cahoots to Galvanize to, I just wrote about The Grid, which opened near 7th Street and Camelback.
And AZ Cowork is coming.
AZ Cowork, which is in Scottsdale by Hamid and Ladan Shoje from Axosoft and PureChat. Literally every part of town has their own co-working space. The Wayne Smith, which is in Tempe. And there's also a co-working visa that you can get if you're trying to explore which co-working space is best for you.
Yeah.
You buy this visa, a month or 2 months, I can't remember what it is, and you can go to all the different co-working spaces, spend like a day or two, and figure out the best space for you.
Okay. That's a cool idea. That's a great idea.
So that's definitely what I would suggest. We also have Phoenix Startup Week, which is very popular in February.
Yep.
We also have Startup Weekends, which each city hosts. And obviously, I recommend reading my newspaper because that's where you can find out what's going on, what conferences. We have tons of great conferences where you can network.
Okay, so you mentioned before, but let's highlight it again.
Yes.
If the viewers are watching and they're like, oh my gosh, I got a story, and it's not just a product launch or PR twist, how do people get a hold of you?
So they can just call me.
Okay.
Really simple. I don't get very many phone calls. I get a lot of emails, so just beware. You can obviously tweet me. I'm on Twitter. But really the best way is just to call or email me.
Just give you a ring.
And don't feel scared. Be willing to hear no, because I get a lot of pitches and I get a lot of emails, at least 150 a day. And, I can't write every story.
Right.
And I always try to tell people why we're not interested, but what I am interested in. And so maybe down the road, if maybe it's too early for your startup to get a story.
Right.
So it really depends. But we do entrepreneur features every week in our paper. So we're always looking for really cool entrepreneur stories, kind of backstories. And what we're interested in is, how did you start this company? How did you get the money? How much money did you put into the company?
Right.
What kind of venture capital did you receive? We're interested in kind of those nitty-gritty things because as another entrepreneur, that's what the entrepreneur is questioning.
Right, exactly.
And since we are a business newspaper, we want those numbers. And so sometimes people don't want to give those numbers. And I'm like, well, maybe you're not a right fit then. And so those are some of the things that will really grab our attention and really get us to probably write a story, is if you give us revenue numbers, obviously investment numbers, any kind of numbers we really like as a business newspaper. We like a lot of numbers.
Okay, that's a wrap with Hayley, Hayley. Check her out at the Phoenix Business Journals. If you like this video, give it a thumbs up, subscribe if you haven't already, and I'll see you in the next one.
Bye-bye.